Good evening. As usual, we'll wait just a few minutes to get folks in online. We've got some people pouring in now, so we'll get started in just a minute. I now call this meeting of the South Whitby School Board to order. Our first item of business is land acknowledgement. As Director Jackson is not here, we will turn to Student Representative McKnight. We should also swap those nameplates at some point.
Okay. Southby School District would like to begin by acknowledging that we gather on the ancestral homelands, originally known as Tukulchi and Lushootseed, of the coastal Salish peoples, on the lands of the Lower Squamish, Skagit, and who have lived here in the Salish Sea Basin since time immemorial, and have hunted, fished, gathered, and taken care of these lands. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and we honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude to the indigenous people of this territory and for their enduring care and protection of the land in which we currently occupy and share through the Treaty of Point Elliott, signed by 82 tribes and Mukilteo on January 22nd, 1855. I would also like to encourage people to just read that treaty number 1 and learn about the native tribes in our area. That way we can better live this land acknowledgement through not only our language, but our practices, most importantly.
Thank you very much. Just to note, this is a business meeting of the school board. We will have presentations and we will have an opportunity for public comment, but this is not the meeting to have a back and forth with the school board, except for when the school board asks questions of presenters. We do have that opportunity at workshops, at board workshops, which are the first meeting of every month, but at a business meeting, community members will have an opportunity for public comment, but not the opportunity to engage in a discussion with board members. All right. Are there any objections to approving the agenda and minutes as presented? Hearing none, the agenda and minutes are approved as presented. We have 3 presentations tonight. We turn first to, I'll pass it off to Dr. Moshe first.
Thank you. So Kyla Stelling will be talking to you about the national conference that she attended every year. There's an opportunity for 2 of our teachers to travel to apply for and receive grant money for traveling to a national conference. And Kyla's here to share her experience with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So from March 3rd through 6th, I was in Austin, Texas to attend the South by Southwest Education Conference. And the South by Southwest Education Conference is the only event that delivers a world-class learning festival where the learner, the practitioner, the entrepreneur, and the visionary come together in Austin, Texas to share ideas and network. And this conference was founded in 2011, and it's really a vibrant and dynamic event that brings together the brightest minds in education to tackle complex issues and drive impact to create a new tomorrow for learners everywhere. And I chose this conference because I was initially drawn to sessions focused on equity and justice, community initiatives, and health and well-being, all of which align with our district's goals around diversity, inclusion, and social emotional learning. However, as the conference unfolded, I discovered that many of these topics became increasingly interdisciplinary with a strong focus on AI and its impact in education. The equity and justice track, for example, highlighted how AI can perpetuate biases, while the future of tech sessions delved into the ethical use of technology in classrooms. And these sessions broadened my perspective, connecting issues of equity, diversity, and technology in new ways. This interdisciplinary focus on AI will be crucial as we work to integrate innovative, equitable practices into our district's educational framework. And on this next slide, I have a short video clip of one of the speakers.
Education is the bedrock for a healthy democracy and for a functioning society. And it's not just essential for things like economic mobility and economic security, but fairness as well, and for well-being. I believe there's no such thing as a state that overinvests in children's future. An investment in children is an investment in national interest, right? So you want to foster an informed and adaptive citizenry that can not just safeguard the future, but thrive in it, especially a future that's going to be as complex as the one children in school today are entering into, which will be shaped by quantum computing, genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, commuting back and forth to space. This is an incredibly complex world they'll be entering into. So the more that they can understand it, the more we can support them in that journey, the better equipped they are. And that's an investment in a country's economic security, in our collective health and well-being, and our overall security and national security interests.
All right. So as you heard in that short clip, Sinead Bovell really talks about like this greater purpose of education on a fairly large scale, which was exciting to be privy to hear, just to then think about how can we take some of these greater learnings and bring it back to our district, considering our particular rural context. And so some really prominent themes I've listed up there, but the ones that really stood out to me were to like transcend and just encourage the breaking of traditional boundaries and advocating for innovative approaches that go beyond conventional methods. So kind of discussing the integration of arts and storytelling into curricula and reimagining educational structures to better serve diverse learners. Also that theme to energize by rejuvenating the educational community, sparking enthusiasm and passion, focusing on leveraging emerging technologies such as AI and XR to enhance learning experiences and engage students in novel ways. So what I'm bringing back from this conference is, you're going to hear it a lot, but AI's role in education. So how is that going to shape students' futures, but how we must also balance it by developing critical thinking and self-learning skills. Over-reliance on AI risks diminishing cognitive abilities and personal connections. I also am bringing back some learnings about bias and equity, that AI reflects social biases, reinforcing dominant narratives. We must ensure its use promotes fairness, particularly in student data analysis, to avoid perpetuating racial bias and inequities. And privacy in data. AI platforms track student data, raising privacy concerns. Responsible handling of this data is essential to protect students' rights and prevent misuse. Some other sessions focused on grading and learning. So traditional grading systems often perpetuate inequities. So a lot of folks in education are shifting towards more emphasis on problem solving, creativity, and resilience over like grading almost as a punitive measure or even an external motivator for learning to foster a more equitable and innovative learning environment and prepare our students to have more of that metacognitive self-learning abilities as they're stepping out into the world that is, you know, non-linear when it comes to measurements of success. Additionally, that future of education was a huge kind of overarching theme. So how AI challenges traditional models, so urging a shift from vocational preparation to critical adaptive thinking. I also went to a session on UDL, Universal Design for Learning, their 3.0 version, which is incorporating culturally sustaining practices to support diverse students. And then equity in AI, that AI should help dismantle, not reinforce systems of oppression. We must redesign assignments and grading to value failure as part of the learning process and promote social justice. So my action plan coming back here, what I'm really focused on when it comes to translating these learnings into South Woodbury School District would be to work with the district equity team to integrate key themes such as the balance between AI and critical thinking, the need to address biases in AI, and the importance of privacy and data ethics into like our district's practices. So I hope to collaborate with the school board and superintendent to create staff training for the 2025-2026 school year, ensuring our educators are equipped with the tools and understanding needed to navigate these emerging challenges. And I also plan to collaborate with teachers in my building and others to explore the creation of an AI council focused on ethical and equitable use of AI in education. I think the smaller size of our district really gives us a unique opportunity to innovate and make meaningful changes that align with our district's vision, ultimately preparing students for a diverse and dynamic world. So in closing, South by Southwest EDU really reinforced the kind of work I'm committed to doing in our district, cultivating spaces where innovation, curiosity, and equity are not just goals, but everyday practices. I hope to be part of this work and to be given opportunities to engage collaboratively in curiosity with my students, colleagues, the district, and the school board. Inspired by thought leaders like Anne-Laure Leconf, a keynote speaker at the conference, I believe we must embrace a mindset that values experimentation, shared learning, and the courage to rethink what success and failure look like in education. Creating space for innovation and research, especially when it comes from beyond our island, requires us all to engage in a meaningful paradigm shift. Together, I think we can reimagine learning environments that support our students in navigating and thriving in a beautifully complex, nonlinear world. And so lastly, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. And thank you to SWIA and the district for providing the funding and opportunity to attend this conference. Over the past 4 years as a new teacher in this district, I've had the chance to attend 8 conferences across several states, and this one was truly transformative. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation and for sharing what you learned and are bringing back. Are there any questions from the board?
Not a question, but I would love to be part of the AI Council, either in any of my roles, either as a parent, a technologist, or a board member.
I did have one question. What is XR? User experience. Thank you. As someone who is a professional writer by trade, AI scares me a little bit because it's proposing to do what I do. But I understand that it is the future and that it is here whether we want it to be or not. So I really look forward to seeing what an AI council or something like that can do to provide positive ways to teach students and staff how to use it appropriately and how to question it when necessary.
Sorry. XR is actually extended reality versus, not UX is user design. Thank you.
So it's the new version of VR?
Correct.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next presentation, which is, it's always a special treat for me when we get students in the boardroom to present what they're actually doing in their classrooms. So I will turn it over to Dr. Moshe once again for the Alternative Learning Programs presentation.
And I'm going to pass it right along to Mrs. Richards, who is in charge of ALE.
Very, very good. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have our students here, families, our teacher, truly a representation of how ALE works is coming together as community of learners and families and teachers. Next slide, please. I have some information to present. That's a requirement each year that we come to our school board and share some data and information. And then I'll talk fast and turn it over to the students for the good part. Uh-oh. We have a little glitch. Well, the students don't need a computer. So how about if while we get that back up, do the Future City folks need the? Okay, all right, with our, yeah, come on up. Oh, we got it back. All right, let's get this done and then you guys come up. All right, so just introducing our team, we have 2 certificated teachers, Karis Tucker and Andrea Mitchell. Anna Jaros. Anna, could you raise your hand? She has been there this year for us as we've had family leave, new babies coming to the program as well, and very grateful for Anna's work. Jamie, are you up there? Oh yeah, Jamie Zundel, our secretary who really does it all for ALE. We're so grateful. Andy's not here this evening. Amanda Pitts. Amanda, could you raise your hand? Amanda does our volunteer coordination and so much more for our program. Really, it is a collaborative program. I'm called the principal, but these folks really are the folks on the ground running the program. Our ALE families, so engaged and involved. And then, of course, our incredible, intelligent, creative, and caring ALE students. Next slide, please. So many community partners. That's really at the heart of the ALE. All of these folks have made such a difference from working with our Island County Marine Resources Committee, doing authentic water quality testing and data collection on our beaches, working with Island County Public Health. Organic Farm School's been there with us, Would Be Children's Theater, so many folks bringing that really authentic, real learning opportunities to our students. And we're really grateful to all these folks. Next slide, please. This is where we're at in terms of enrollment. This is our 4th year, I believe. Time flies. We've been at full capacity pretty much since we have started the program. We have an abundant, I like that word, abundant wait list. And we are going to be talking soon about the possibility of opening up our wait list. We have plans underway to see if we can obtain the needed additional enrollment to bring our teachers up to 3 certificated teachers. We'll be talking a little bit more about that. Next slide, please. This is says student to teacher ratio. We never have 32 students in a classroom at a time, so don't worry about that. We have because of the community partnerships that we have 32 students assigned to each teacher who engages in the reporting, the necessary reporting, collaboration with families, and taking care of those state requirements. But our teachers and our community partners are all involved with that ratio of 32 to 1. Next slide, please. Of our 63 enrolled students, so this is current, 76% of those students were new to our district. And that's a really exciting number. So we're connecting with families who've not had that relationship previously with the South Whitby School District. And that to me is just such a beautiful thing on so many levels. 25 new students to the ALE this year. And again, 19 of those students came to us from either private schools or new to the community or from homeschool families. And we are so excited to welcome them when they join us. Next slide, please. These are the folks, this 21 new to the district on our wait list. We have more families, but these are the families that are on the wait list that are new, that are not currently enrolled in the school district. And so actually today I reached out with some numbers and some plans that we have to meet with our district administration team to look at adding that 3rd teacher if we can get that enrollment. We need to have 17 new students new to the district enrolled in the ALE program in order to bring on that 3rd certificated teacher. So our hope is to launch that within the next 3 weeks and see where we can get by June. All right, next slide, please. Just alignment. This is one of the things the state asks us to do is how do you align with your district's mission, vision, and goals? And I feel like we have an incredible alignment, especially as we look at our partnerships and that authentic stewardship and service that our students are engaged in that really make them contributing members of our community. Our 1st graders are active citizens in our community at this time, all the way up through the program. And that's always been a vision of mine personally, is that our students are in the community, our community is in our schools, and that our children really see that they have so much value and ability to contribute and use their learning in real, meaningful, and authentic ways. Next slide, please. Again, this is that alignment with our district goals, the academic piece, as well as the social emotional learning. It's been really exciting this year too. We've been able to have Kathy Hine, the mental health therapist that we're able to hire with grant funds, is spending a day a week down at the ALE as well. And that's been a new addition that we're really excited about. Next slide, please. Now comes the fun part. We're going to turn it over to our students. We have, well, Amanda or Andrea, you go ahead and grab the mic and I'll let you do this part.
Hello. Hi. I'm Andrea Mitchell. I'm one of the certificated teachers with the ALE. I'm so grateful to be part of this program and watch it grow and evolve. But I think we really want to hear from the students. So first up, we have 4 elementary school students. Come on up. So,
Hello, my name is Justice. I'm part of the ALA. I'm in 5th grade. My name is Cody, and I'm in 3rd grade. I'm a part of the ALA too.
My name's Irene. I'm in 4th grade, and as you can guess, I'm in part of ALE too. My name's Lois. I'm in 2nd grade, and I'm in ALE.
One of my personal favorite parts about ALE. Oh yeah, I forgot. And we all love A. One of my personal favorite parts about ALE is the STEAM class because it's like STEM class, but you get to do art. There's so many fun engineering, science, and art projects, and you still learn a lot while having a lot of fun. And I am also teaching a programming class for my fellow students. I will be talking about farm school, which we all love a lot. We take care of plant babies and we love them. We also pull out invasive plants like blackberries and weeds and stuff and plant in good stuff. And we go on trips. We have gone to Trillium, Community Forest, and a bunch of different farms. We also have community action projects where we help the community.
I'm going to be talking about a little bit of everything. It's really nice because you have this flexibility. You have home learning, so you don't have to do a lot of not fun stuff at school, but you have a day off to do it. On Wednesdays, you have clay class, and you also have music, and halfway through the year, they switch it up, so you get to do something else. We also do a Around the World class where we get to learn about countries, and we also have mystery science. In ALE, we have short periods of time to do our learning, and this allows for more time with family and fun lessons at home. The lessons are well taught, and they're very good teachers, and they have really nice friends. I really like traveling around the globe in social studies. I also really enjoy forest teachings, which is where we study about a specific plant and usually go out on a trail walk or scavenger hunt while taking small yellow journals to observe around us. It's a nice time to be free and be myself.
Next up, we have 3 middle school students and also a 6th grader who will be in, our 5th grader who will be in middle school next year, who's going to be our sign holder. These
Andrea,
students, yeah.
I just want to, Christy suggested we move that way so you're on the screen for the folks at home.
Okay, so can the kids stand here? Or I stand here.
Christy, you tell us where you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So right here. Okay, kids, can you come up here? And then I think we'll have to, for time, should we just leave the model over there? Okay. So
Okay.
bring the poster and students and come on over here. So these students participated in a regional future city competition, and the region is the whole Pacific Northwest. And here they are. Right here.
Brooke is waving them forward. Yeah, there we go.
Hello and welcome to Otter. My name is Layla and I'm a civil engineer. This is Beloved, a teacher, and Margaret, a marine biologist. We all live and work in the city of Otter. Our city is named after one of its most important factors, that it's completely floating. One of the challenges of being a floating city is the risk of floating out to sea or becoming shipwrecked. Otter uses metal chains that are long and loose to account for weather to stay safely in place, mimicking how sea otters tangle themselves in seaweed and kelp to stay put while sleeping, hence the name of our city. Otter floats in the Strait of Juan de Fuca near where, about 150 years ago, Victoria, BC bustled.
As to make Otter more efficient, it is split into 3 zones: residential for housing and medical facilities, commercial for shops and schools, and industrial, where buildings for manufacturing and material storages are. In the center of each of our pods, we have a water filtration system nicknamed the donut hole by residents. Above the donut holes are green spaces. The green spaces are parks, but their main purpose is to filter water and help it go down into the donut hole. The water is filtered by genetically modified plants. The plants are modified using an advanced version of CRISPR, or CRISPR, so that they can absorb salt water. The pods are tilted ever so slightly inward so that any excess water can go into the green space.
Otter floats using 3-foot, 55-gallon recycled plastic barrels filled with air. The barrels are spaced 3 feet apart in 4 chains, splitting up the bottom of the pods into quarters. Each chain has 1,320 barrels, and each pod can support 2,423,520 pounds.
Agriculture both underwater and above water in our city is pretty cool. Underwater on the chains that keep our city in place, we grow mussels and oysters. On the other hand, above ground, we have smaller pods that are called farm pods. The livestock that we have on those pods are sheep and geese. The sheep are harvested both for their fleece and meat and dairy, and the geese are harvested for their meat, eggs, and feathers.
We power our city using oscillating body converters. Oscillating body converters are buoys that use the movement of crashing waves to create friction. Magnetic energy is then captured in a generator and fed through underwater power lines. We also have a large buffer around our city that creates the same type of energy. Our transportation is powered with batteries that utilize the natural humidity of the environment.
All the transportation in our city, including electric bikes and scooters, walking, light rails, and sailboats, runs on the aforementioned humidity batteries, except walking, of course. The sailboats are docked in the center of the pods. They don't require power, but they do have motors in case of emergency. The e-bikes and e-scooters are distributed using bike libraries. Citizens can check out a bike or a scooter and then return it to one of the 3 libraries per pod, 1 library per zone. The pods are connected with 1/4-mile long double-leaf rolling lift bascule bridges with a heavy span. These bridges can be remotely operated and are highly efficient. The bridge is split into 3 parts, 1 for pedestrians and 2 for light rails. These bridges are special because they can open and shut without using wires, so that sailboats can pass and so that if an emergency like a fire should occur, we can separate the pod with the fire so it can be individually dealt with without spreading.
The residents of Otter live in 3-story houses. The first story of the buildings are basic needs stores, and the top 2 are for living. The roof is home to the domed gardens. The gardens utilize aquaponics, which are water beds where the plants are fed by fish. The water used is gray water. The residents access these gardens and homes with key cards that they all receive when moving in.
Schools in our city are awesome because we have an alternative school system and a homeschool enrichment program. Kids can choose to go to school on Friday if they need more schooling, but normally the school week is limited to Monday through Thursday. Students are homeschooled on Fridays. Jobs around the city are like the jobs we had 150 years ago, but in a less toxic work environment. Our jobs range from gardeners to city council members and engineers.
Our government is made up of 7 representatives, so it's non-complex and fair. Each person on the council specializes in something different, like urban planning or farming. The officials are elected every 5 years by majority vote.
Our city was designed for our citizens by our citizens, so naturally it's growing and evolving with them. It was specifically planned so that the community could flourish and grow, because at the end of the day, the most important thing about Otter will always be the people who inhabit it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very impressed with the depth of thought that went into that. Any questions or comments from board members for the ALE program?
We just wanted to share, we have our exhibition night coming up, and this is if you have not been, we really encourage you to come check it out. It will be here in our gymnasium, May 5th. Students showcase. Oh, May 30th. It did say May 5th. May 30th. We'll have to fix that. It was amazing last year. Dancing, singing, art shows. Yeah, if you have a chance, please be sure and come by and see a year of learning. And I just want to thank you all. You guys did such a fantastic job. Thanks for being here tonight, families. I think, Christy, do we have some little gifts for our students? Oh, she already got them. Very good. All right. And families, don't feel bad if you need to head out and head home. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all. Nice job, everybody.
Again, it is always so wonderful when students can come in and show the work that's happening in the classrooms and this wonderful staff that's supporting them and instructing them as well. Fantastic as always. We next move on to our student representative report.
All right. So to start off with the high school, prom happened and it was a blast. It was April showers bring prom flowers was the theme. So there's lots of flowers everywhere and it was really well decorated. And there was a spirit week with that. I honestly can't remember most of the days because I was sick that week. That's how it remembers. Molly had a really good bake sale selling to middle school and high school and made a lot of money. Earth Day performance happened by the high school jazz band. I think it was the 9th and 10th graders that happened. And it looked like a really good concert from the videos I saw of it. The South Dewey High School students went to a day of hope at UW for the mental health. What was it? Yeah, basically just Day of Hope. I heard it was really fun, and they got to go to a lot of really cool workshops and stuff and learn about how UW manages mental health. The seniors hosted a car wash for grad night to make money for that. I actually went through it. It was quite interesting. And they're making a lot of money, so that's good.
SPEC testing has been going on for the past couple of weeks. The last math test is tomorrow, and our sophomores have been really pushing through it, getting it done. The pole vault record for girls was set recently. The last one was held for 24 years, and the new one is 11 feet. It's pretty awesome. NHS induction ceremony is coming up next week. ASB elections are also coming up in a few weeks. And Spanish Club is hosting a Cinco de Mayo fiesta also in a few weeks.
And Model UN is a democratic organization, so they're actually doing elections coming up soon, which I thought was kind of interesting. Okay, moving on to the middle school. Spring sports have started up, and I just thought it was kind of cool. Over 100 students turned out for track. So that is a very high turnout sport. The middle school Olympics is happening right now. I didn't get this because I was in COVID, so I'm really excited that's still going. But teams from basically across grades get assigned a country, and they play all sorts of different sports and an Olympics type thing. and they're doing iReady testing, which is kind of like SBAC testing. We're all in the same boat with testing, high school and middle school. School and student leaders have decided to keep the new student orientation. Tomorrow, they're going to talk about their experiences with orientation and answer questions to new students. And then the next month is going to be tours on campus. And they're actually talking with the student leaders on how to prepare for the displacements that are going to be happening because of the building construction. And I'm really glad that conversation is happening now, so we can figure out how to best work around it.
At the elementary school, April 17th was the first annual STEAM night, and it was a big hit. Comments were received such as, "You guys rocked it tonight. It was awesome." Stuff like this can really strengthen community ties on so many levels. It is so necessary. So cool, such a great event. This is the coolest idea. The stations were so fun. It was packed. 10,000 kudos to your team. Teachers did an amazing job, and family engagement team, they deserve a big thank you for presenting the idea and really making it happen. The fourth graders are going overnight to Camp Casey for their field trip this Thursday and Friday. And yesterday was the annual kindergarten information night, and there was a great turnout.
Thank you very much. Any questions on that?
I'm curious if you've heard about applications for the student board rep position.
Carter and I actually went around to advisories the other week, and we were promoting it. I think I know a few people that have applied, but yeah.
I know there's a couple people who are working on it.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed that there are 100 track athletes. I'm pretty certain that's the size of the team when I was in school, when there was double the enrollment. So that's really impressive. Kudos to the staff, coaches and staff for getting students engaged, and to the students themselves for getting themselves engaged. That's fantastic. Anything else? Thank you both very much. That completes our presentations. We move on to the more straightforward portions of our meeting. First of all, we have the consent agenda, which includes a pair of field trips, as well as appreciation and approval of the receipt of a cash gift of $33,000 from Whidbey Island Nourishes for the School Farms AmeriCorps program. And I know the school farms could not function without that, so it's always amazing that local community organizations, such as, in this case, Whidbey Island Nourishes, can make that donation and really let that program flourish. Are there any objections to approving the consent agenda as presented? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. We'll move on to public comments. Ms. Picard, as you're coming up, I'll just note for those who are online, since we do have 8 folks who are online, if you would like to make a comment, please use the Q&A function to note your name and location, and then enter that, and then start typing up what you'd like to say. Thank you.
Charlene Davenport Clinton. Our ability to reach unity and diversity will be the beauty and the test of our civilization. Mahatma Gandhi. I would like to thank our board, superintendent, and all district employees for making sure that our students learn the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is critical for our students to understand different cultures, traditions, and most importantly, the diverse histories of all people in our country. I'm here to tell you a story about granddaughter Raina. When she was in 4th grade, she had a family history project with a number of questions to ask her grandparents. My daughter talked with her husband, and they called a family meeting of his 3 older brothers to discuss which grandparents should be interviewed. Even though one grandfather lived 5 miles from her, they decided Raina would call us over the phone for the interview questions, my husband and myself. The 4 brothers felt that the interview might be a little too much for their father, given he had just lost his wife 9 months previously. But that was not the main concern. Some of the questions were, what do you do? What state do you come from? And what did your grandparents do? And what state or country did your grandparents come from? The brothers felt that these questions would bring up some very sad memories that their dad would recall. Stories his grandfather told him of being a child and youth in Mississippi as a slave. When Raina was 16, she got the talk about where to place her hands on the steering wheel if stopped by the police, even though there was another family relative who was assistant police chief of the LAPD at the time. 2 years ago, when my daughter was helping Raina put her dorm things in storage for the summer at the University of Oregon, she was stopped by TSA at the airport because a TSA agent thought my daughter was trafficking. Last summer, when she was accompanying her daughter Maya to Colorado, Arizona, and all over California for Maya's participation in fast-pitch softball summer club sports, she carried certified copies of her marriage license and Maya's birth certificate to make sure she wasn't stopped by TSA again. I'm fairly certain that most of us in this room have never thought about or experienced this with your own children or grandchildren. Closer to home, I was approached by a mom last school year who told me her family moved to this school district from another Island County school district where her kids were constantly called the N-word. Or the father who told me that he was raised on the island, left the Rock, got married, had a family, and specifically moved back to this school district so that his LGBTQ child would be treated better than the other school district they were in. Or the mom who told me 2 years ago her family moved to this district from Oklahoma because she didn't want to receive a call telling her that her LGBTQ child was found severely beaten up or dead in a school bathroom or left on the side of the road. All people do not experience the perspective of the dominant culture in the same way. Generational trauma is a reality. It is alive and well today. And this is why it is so important to learn the histories of other ethnicities and cultures. Thank you for making sure that our students are heard and instructed in the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. In closing, I would like to quote the Reverend Dr. Randy Woodley, a Native American scholar, author, and teacher. The sense of superficial sameness, in other words, the dominant cultural perspective, allows us short-term comfort, but it never lasts. Embracing difference builds both character and community. Everything in the universe is different because we are not made only to live in comfort and the security of superficial sameness. We were also made to explore and learn from the difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing the family experiences and perspective.
Testing. Hi guys, me again. I loved the presentations of the kiddos. One thing that I kept hearing in there was community, 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 and family involvement, which is huge. As you know, we've been doing some community meetings. They've been well attended. And I saw a couple of the board members there, which is great. I would love for more of you guys to attend. I know you can only attend in so many numbers. What was really great about the meetings was we got some community discussion going. We were able to have conversation with individuals that have students in the district, that have grandkids in the district, or is just in the community and are concerned about kind of the functionality of our district or lack thereof. One thing that was concerning when Mr. Greenherron came, I asked him, hey, what'd you think about this meeting? I know Brooke had attended as well. And unfortunately, it seemed that he kind of discounted the efforts of the individuals that came, the topics that were discussed, which was kind of concerning. I think we did a survey monkey just to get an idea of what the main concerns were. It was kind of it's one of those trial ones, only get 25 individuals to participate. And the top 3 issues was, one, of course, was leadership, meaning the school board. Another one was academics, both on scores and what was being put out in classrooms. And the other one was bowling. There's a huge element of bowling that was really discussed. It was great to give those parents platforms where the conversation was able to be positive and engaging. And when he discounted that and he said, you know, that's only 25 people that have those 3 concerns, that doesn't hold much weight. There's 3 people in this room. If one person has a concern, or if one person had an experience or a student had an experience, that's valid. That's absolutely valid. And that's the attitude we really don't want. We want every person to come in and feel like they have a voice and what their concerns are valid and they have weight. More so, what was interesting, those 3 main concerns that we found on the Survey Monkey was also the 3 main ones between both of the meetings, community meetings. So there's more than 25 people that have those 3 concerns. That's awesome. Again, I really encourage people to come to the meetings with that concept of engaging conversation, not shutting down, not saying, you know, that's not valid enough because there's not enough people. We want more students in our district. We want to figure out what the issues are and find solutions. And that brings me to my second point. We have discussed the concept of committees. I've kind of heard how you guys run committees. I would love to get more committees. We used to have a paraeducation committee, which I was on. It was great. There's a lot of parents that want to have input and a voice in this district because they want their students in here. They want their students to have a positive experience. And that involves allowing input to happen so positive change can happen. And that's something I bring to you tonight. I know there has to be 2 board members that feel strongly about an issue to bring it on the agenda. We have 3 main issues that we've heard at these meetings, and we would like to address them and figure out some solutions, ways to improve it. So they're not so much an issue that prevents people from putting their kids in the district, that makes things more difficult for students to learn. Those are the kind of topics we're talking about. We want to have conversation with you guys, but like I told Mr. Greenherron, the ball's in your court. We have started the conversations. The conversations are positive. We've come up with some ideas and solutions, but that takes teamwork and which takes communication. So I'm putting that in your court, what you want to do with it. We would like to work together with you. We are not here to rally against you. This is our district. These are our students. This is our community. And we want to see improvement and change. We don't want to just check boxes and know, like I think we were discussing at the last meeting. Well, we're about the same as the next district. We're about the same percentage. I don't want to be about the same. I want to be better. I want to figure out solutions and come up with ways that we can improve. Someone just said something about investing in our students. What you put in is what you get out. So if we put in the bare minimum, we will just check those boxes and that's what we'll get out of it. So I invite you guys to be part of this conversation. Our next meeting is May 1st. So please come. Thanks so much.
Thank you for sharing your experience with those meetings. And we do not currently have any Q&A questions from the internet, from the Zoom meeting. So that appears to be the end of our public comment period. Thank you very much for each of you who commented. We'll move on to new business. Memorandum 2425-35, approval of resolution 695, adopting the study and survey. I'd like to turn this over to you, Dr. Moshe, to explain exactly what that is about.
And I'm actually going to pass this to Paul. so he can tell you all about the study and survey and why you're approving this.
So Scott and I will tag team this together. So the study and survey is a requirement of the D process for capital funding. The D1 process is the study and survey to go get an evaluation of all the district-owned properties. We utilize the work with the bond and Integris, and specifically Jeff Ludeman from Integris to help us because he'd already done the 10-year facility plan. So we were able to get a grant as part of the D1 to go through and get a much more in-depth evaluation of the buildings and the utilization of the space, and then to update the ICOS program on OSPI's website, which is the information and condition of schools that needed to be updated. And we're getting a much better update since the consolidation of our buildings and things to get that more up to speed and accurate. So that's what this is about. And in order for us to accept the study and survey, it has to be approved by the board. That's why it's in draft format, because it's not official until you approve it, and then we will submit it.
I'll just add, this is something that occurs with a licensed building condition assessment assessor, basically every 6 years. And it's just an opportunity to further document and update our room usage, our history of our modernization efforts, the size of the buildings, and to update the condition of these spaces with the state. And so we were glad to be able to participate in this process and provide good information with both Tim Hanlon and Jeff Ludeman in this process. So we feel like it extends and strengthens the district's 10-year facilities plan.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board or debate and discussion on this item? I very much appreciate the effort that went into putting this together. I'm looking forward to seeing how the assessment changes as we get the bond work done. I know that we've been putting in a lot of capital improvement levy dollars to get things to where we're happier with them. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how those bond dollars can make a difference as well. Okay. Student representatives, may I have your advisory votes on this item?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of approving Memorandum 2425-35, approval of the Resolution 695, adopting the study and survey, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has passed. Memorandum 2425-36, approval of update to South Whidbey School District Policy 4040, public access to district records. I could turn this over to you, Director Downs, but we talked about it last meeting, and it was very simple, just getting us up to date on required public records requests, information to make.
And Christy finding the form that we didn't have on file that we needed on file.
Any comments or questions or discussion on this memorandum? Okay, student board representatives, can I have your advisory votes?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving Memorandum 2425-36, approval of the update to South Whidbey School District Policy 4040, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has passed. Next item, Memorandum 2425-37, approval of Resolution 696, public access to school district records. And this is the resolution that we need on file that Mr. McCarroll found. Thank you very much for getting that in order. Any discussion on this item? Okay, student representatives, can I have your advisory votes?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving Memorandum 2425-37, approval of Resolution 696, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has passed. Our final item of new business for tonight, Memorandum 2425-38, approval of Absher's Guaranteed Maximum Price, GMP, contract for the South Whidbey School District Facilities Modernization and Upgrades Bundle Phase 1. Dr. Moshe, I'll turn it over to you for an explanation.
Well, this is actually very exciting. As you know, you selected Absher as our GCCM, and I'm going to again turn to Paul so that he can, I know some board members had some questions, and Paul works directly with Integris and Absher and our owner representative, as does Scott. But Paul is involved in the financial piece very directly, so I'm going to have him explain what's happening here.
So, like Dr. Moshe said, we selected Absher as our GCCM, and we've gone through the process, and we've had to break this contract down into phases. So this first phase of work that's listed here is for the siding, roofing, are the major components, and then the playground here at the elementary school. So before we can actually sign the AIA contract, the dollar figure GMP needs to be approved by the board. So that's what we're here to do tonight. The breakdown attached to the memo is the bids that went out to the street and the numbers that came back for a high level description of the work that's going to be done in this coming summer. And it's actually going to take longer than that. The siding and roofing work's a nearly 2.5-year process. But we've broken it down into phases as we continue to design as we're going along with Absher and Integris, physically developing everything that we're going to do. But this is to get us started. Ultimately, as we get into the interior work, you'll get an amendment to this contract to continue to spend the bond dollars.
Thank you. I noticed that the estimated cost had gone down since the last estimate. I was curious if you knew what had driven that. In particular, I noticed that the sheet metals and siding was reduced by $3 million and the roof work by $1 million. And then on the flip side, there was an increase of $1.8 million to the structural work. So I was just curious if you had some more details on those.
Yeah, so that bid package estimate is when they initially is in design development. So when we said, we're going to do a playground, we're going to do the siding, we're going to do the roof. So at a high level, they go through with their estimators and figure out what it's going to be. And as we can start continuing through design development into schematic design to physically, the siding is going to be attached with this sort of fastener. We're going to install this equipment, this roof, down to the physical drawings. And they started looking at how we're going to need to phase the work. The buckets in the left were rearranged for the bids that went on the street to help support our phasing process to get the work done. So it's not an apples to apples comparison as you run across. That's why you see the difference between siding and roofing, because before those packages were kind of smushed together, but when the bids hit the street, they separated them to help support how we're going to have to do that work and the timing of working on an occupied campus. The key is the volume of work didn't change. So that's why the gray line, the subtotal, is the important line. And we still came in under, and it's still the same body of work. Just how it was bid versus how it was estimated isn't exactly lined up. But overall, the price is coming in right within the estimate.
Excellent. Thank you. That makes a whole lot more sense. I appreciate that. Any other comments or questions from the board? Okay. So I will turn to our student representatives. Could we have your advisory votes, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of approving Memorandum 2425-38, the approval of Absher's guaranteed maximum price contract, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. The memorandum has been passed. That is the completion of our new business for this evening. We'll move on to our reports, starting with financial and enrollment report. Mr. Field.
All right. So for our enrollments, our normal presentation here, the students that we saw in September have stuck around, fingers crossed, through the end of the year. So everything's looking status quo for our enrollment. The next slide, we're the green line. We had a little bit of a drop down, but historically in district or statewide, you'll start to see kind of a slide at the end of the year. Is that better? There we go. This next slide is just the enrollment by grade. So it's the same historical data. So it's just showing it month over month. We're the green bar, so we're a little bit higher than last year, but still over the last 3 years, slightly below. And this is the by grade. So any questions on enrollment before we move on? So currently 58.3% through the year, and 58% of our expenditures revenue year to date, and 58% of our expenditures. So clicking along right as normal. Again, we're the green line on the bottom. With the exception of the beginning of the year, we're kind of falling right in line with our historical expenditure trends as the lines all kind of lay right on top of each other because our expenditures year over year doesn't fluctuate because of the historical decline in enrollment. This is with encumbrances. So with our payroll is targeted to go over slightly on our budgeted payroll, but we've added staff for K-3 compliance and special ed para support. Playground support is just some areas where we've added through the year to meet needs of the schools. Overall, our total expenditures look like they're going to come on. I'll keep watching this very, very closely as we get closer to the end of the year to see if we'll have to do a budget extension. With the upticking students, increasing enrollment, we have an uptick in staffing costs, but right now it's looking like we'll hopefully skate right in under. Otherwise, we'll do the F200 process like we did last year. So this is the revenue and expenditure graph showing. Again, our expenditure line's kind of erratic compared to prior years, but the revenue is falling right in line, and we'll expect to see it jump up in April as we get our April levy collections coming in. Now, this is just the bar chart showing by type of expenditure. We're kind of up across the board as far as expenditures, but not a whole lot to report here. Specifically, it's just what we've been bumping along with all year long. Our fund balance report, so we're still at 20.8%, slightly ticked up from last month. But again, just kind of following that historical trend line. It's a lesser percentage historically because we have a higher expenditure budget. So the fund balance dollar amounts stayed roughly the same, but we have a larger annual expenditure budget, which makes the percentage, which is just showing as fund balance as a percentage of annual budget. That's why that number is kind of ticking down slightly overall historically. This is the statutory required budget status report. And this is the summary of other funds. We're spending capital funds as we're gearing up for summer. That number is really going to start jumping up as we hit June, July, and August when we have active construction on the site. All the other funds are status quo, not a lot of activity this time. We still do have our buses en route, so we'll see some TDF expenditures here in the next couple months. A debt service, we don't have a payment for a while, so that'll be static for some time. Do we have any questions?
Thank you very much. Comments, questions? I'm very glad to see that the enrollment has stayed there. I think that's a testament to the staff in the buildings doing such an amazing job demonstrating care for the students. And I'd like to thank them for what they do, as well as everyone here who's continuing on with all the work that you all do. Thank you. Move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Moshe.
Thank you. And Christy's got some slides she's going to put up for me. I actually am, instead of going to giving you a superintendent's update, I'm going to go right into updating you on the superintendent's goals. That's on the agenda there for this evening. And I am specifically going to talk to you about goal 3, because you've heard quite a bit and you will hear more on goals 1 and 2, which are about what's happening in our buildings, in our schools with the school improvement planning and our SEL work. You will hear that, you did hear it a month ago from the principals, and you'll hear their final report in June. So I'm going to take you to goal 3, which is all about logistics. And it has everything to do with what we're doing with our bond work and our levy work. So next slide. Again, aligned with our vision and mission, we're going to move right on to the 3rd slide. So here are the 3 goals the board set for the district: to deepen our school culture of care and belonging and continue to use best practices to nurture and create innovative learning environments. Those are goals 1 and 2, or objectives 1 and 2. If you click again, Christy, for me. There you go. This is what we're going to talk about tonight. Mission-aligned use of and stewardship of our district assets, land, facilities, people, money, institutional knowledge, and time, and create the conditions for the new superintendent's success. So if you go to the next slide, Christy, we have several objectives under that main topic. And I know that's hard to read. The board has seen this before, but I'm going to go through it because I think, and Christy, I'm going to have you click back and forth, but I'll tell you when. So bond implementation, we have a timeline. So Christy, click on to the next slide. Okay, so this is the big picture view, and you can expand this certainly on your own or at home. But what this is a timeline, and it starts May 2025 is that first column, and it goes all the way out to December 2026. So you can see the topics: upgrade restrooms to ADA compliance. That's the summer of 26. Replace plumbing and fixtures and piping at restrooms. Again, summer of 26. HVAC and water source heat pump system, summer of 26. So what's going on this summer? That's the line closest to the left side of the page. So we're replacing the playground. As you know, we had a groundbreaking ceremony down at the elementary school last week. Students equipped with golden shovels, hard hats, and vests. Very excited about that playground work. It will be in 2 phases. As you know, the board approved purchasing playground equipment a few weeks back at a board meeting. There is quite a bit of site work that's going to go on down there that was bid out. It came in at about $600,000. It's part of the package that you just approved. One of the things that's down at that elementary playground that I bet you didn't know, because I didn't know, in the 14 years I've been here, there is a retention pond that has become an alder forest that has to be turned back into a retention pond that can be mowed. So there are groundwater issues that are going to be addressed through that package. It's not just creating a playground, but it's infrastructure back there. So that will be happening this summer. Other things that are happening this summer, we talked about the roof and the siding at the high school. That is a huge undertaking. That is the longest blue line you see there. That will take both summers. That involves what Carter referred to as I think it was Carter, it might have been Callahan, but as the phasing or as movement that's happening. So that's being planned for now. We will have portable classrooms placed on site this summer in the back parking lot so that we have places for students to move to in that building. Teachers are already getting prepared, packing their items. So that will be a phased project. So you will see that over the summer. They will get started basically June 16th. But because the building will be occupied while that's going on, it's a very elaborate process that takes a lot of planning. So this you can look at, over time and see how we're doing. But this is the planned outlook. And another big item that people often ask about is when are we doing the field and track and field and grandstand? And that is the second summer. And it's down towards the bottom of the page. So again, Christy, if you go back up a slide for me. Maintaining capabilities during staff turnover was another issue that the board highlighted. Again, we updated and continued on with our matrix of responsibilities. Done a huge amount of work making sure that all of the tasks that the current superintendent is engaged with after 14 years are not placed onto the new superintendent who's coming in here. So we have moved things, changed jobs, and reorganized the organizational chart with Dr. Clifford's input. So if you go 2 slides ahead, I will show you the organizational chart. So Dr. Clifford at the top there, Paul Field is taking on a different level of responsibilities. The administrators, you can see their responsibilities, and then we have directors in pink. So we have reestablished or established responsibilities at all levels to make sure that we've accounted for all of the tasks and jobs between Mr. Pullman leaving a year ago and my leaving this year. We took on a lot of duties over time that had to be redistributed. So, and we're also planning transition beyond that. Don't know how things will go in the future, but somebody in this room has announced her departure in another year. So transitioning elementary principal will be happening. And we also know that one of our esteemed librarian may be doing the very same thing. So we're planning for that transition. So there is a lot of change happening. So we're trying to make sure that we've anticipated those. So Christy, back up to. Okay. Levy support. I'm going to take you to another slide in a second, but as you know, the levy passed overwhelmingly. And so having that capital levy and the obviously the EP&O, but the capital levy so that we can really get more than just, I mean, the bond is huge, but the levy is all about our ongoing maintenance. So I'll take you there in a minute, but I want to just go through a few of the others. Real estate management. Again, that 10-year facilities plan, every piece of, every asset was looked at, including the Bayview building and all of the facilities that the district owns. So that's in your 10-year plan. So now you have that as a baseline. Working on sustainable agreements with all unions. As the board knows, it's directed the current superintendent to finish those negotiations, even if they go past June 30th. So that's underway. Financial stewardship, and Paul will say no, but I will tell you that he is good competition for Mr. Dan Poolman. He is doing an amazing job. He just doesn't want you to know that. So we're keeping it quiet. Don't tell anyone. But that is ongoing. Maintenance and facilities. Scott's doing a great job. We're narrowing that role a little bit so that he can really focus on meeting those needs for staff because the capital needs have been overwhelming. So now I'm going to take you down to that third part, which is the use of the capital levy to update facilities. And I'm going to highlight all of these items that Scott has led the way on. So Christy, 3 clicks. There we go. Okay. So this is going to be on the website. If it is, you're also going to start seeing signs around the district that say, thank you to our community for your levy support for some of these projects. Many of them are infrastructure projects, but they were urgent or critical. And so you can see here all of the things that have happened that the community wouldn't see, but the teachers feel. The HVAC systems upgrades, the, go to the next page, it's all here. So you can keep looking through this in detail with all of the approximate cost or actual cost of those items. I want to take you to click a couple times until you see a green line. There you go. Stop there. So what I asked Scott to do, and he's come through with, is this idea of what are we doing? What are the priorities? How are you, how are you managing these levy funds? What's getting done? And obviously emergent items end up becoming a priority. For example, Scott and Susie had a meeting about the small playground that is for our ITK and kindergarten students. It is in disrepair to the point where it can't be used by students. So that has now become a priority to repair. So things like that will happen. But the first item on 25-26 priorities is already setting aside some funding for the turf, because we know in 10 to 15 years that turf will need to be replaced. So setting aside an amount of money on an annual basis so that that is not a surprise when it comes up in 10 years from now. So these are the kinds of things that are happening in terms of planning. So I just want you to be aware of how we've operated under Goal 3. The other thing that the board initiated that we've been following through on is transitioning the new superintendent. So Dr. Clifford, who's online right now, has been in district several days, meeting with staff, finding out all the systems that we have in place, learning about the district, meeting and networking outside of the district, all of the work that could have waited, but the board had the foresight not to have wait, so that all the players are in place. And she can learn about the district before arriving on July 1 when most people are on vacation. So she will be here a few more days prior to June 16th, when she will be in the district full-time, and we have 2 weeks together as I transition out. So that is all the work that has been going on at the board's direction to get ready for superintendent transition. And I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
I just want to say thank you to both you and your leadership team, both with Mr. Peacock and Mr. Field. I really appreciate the levy plan, with it having the priorities outlined and what is it we're focusing on. I think the signage around the district of, hey, this is what we're using it for, is a great idea. And I also just want to thank you, Dr. Moshe, for your openness to this transition and the transition planning, and in how welcoming you've been to Dr. Clifford. I really think that what we've been able to facilitate with this transition is unique. And it comes from not just us having time and space to make it happen, but also from a willingness for you to include her and to pass the torch in a really graceful way. And I deeply appreciate that. And hope that the two of you are able to share this experience with others so that other districts can learn from.
I think it's a WASDA presentation.
Well, I wasn't gonna, there's no surprises at the board meeting, so I'm not supposed to say that, but I think it'd be a great WASDA presentation.
Let's hold off until board reports for that discussion.
Dr. Moshe, I just want to thank you for this entire presentation, because when we moved to the goal setting framework of objectives and key results, and talked about getting updates from the superintendent on the key results throughout the school year, this was exactly what I had in mind. And so I know it was sort of new and untested to use this framework, but I'm really glad that we did, because this is really the way that I first saw it going. So kudos on the results themselves, but also at a higher level, I just really appreciate the way that you laid out everything and set the key results and are tracking towards them.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to board comments and reports.
So I and Director Greenherron went to the groundbreaking for the new playground, and then I also had the opportunity to attend South Woodby Elementary's, I'm calling it this, first annual STEAM night, and it was so fun. It was absolutely incredible, and I wanted to acknowledge that. The hallways were packed with kids. The stations were a blast. The teachers just put so much thought into what kids were doing. The cardboard box exhibit, I mean, it took everything we had to get the kids out of the boxes just to get them to go see the other stations. I feel like each station could have been a 2-hour night just on its own. And so just hats off to the staff, hats off to you, Susie, for putting that together. And it was a really, really fun event.
Plus one to that, I wasn't able to go because, well, I had to show a movie, but my daughter and father were able to go, and they both really enjoyed it. So very, very impressed with that. And I've been hearing good things from other community members as well. So just plus one to what you said, Director Downs. I do want to note, you mentioned it once, and Director Greenherron brought it up with me in another place. So WASDA presentation. We had what I felt was a successful one last year. They are due by the May 31st. I'm looking at Director Greenherron because he is somewhat unable to participate in this process because he is engaged in, go ahead. He is engaged in organizing the conference itself to some degree. And so I'd like to begin the discussions on whether we would like to do another presentation and what we think it would do. I certainly think that the superintendent hiring and transition is a fantastic opportunity. I also would love to do something, whether it's this year or another year, on our workshop format for small districts in particular, just because I think it's so valuable to be able to get community input in that format. But I think that's something that I would like to do. And if the rest of the board would as well, I think that we should begin with that work soon. If folks have other ideas on presentations or things that they would particularly like to see, and I'm looking at the student representatives as well, particularly Callahan, because she will be here next year to do that. Sorry, Carter. If you could email me with ideas or thoughts on what you would think we should do.
You already have my thoughts.
Okay, done.
And I think given the length of time for presentations, I would encourage us to focus more on what we've been doing in transition. Because I think that's the hiring, the way that we hired was cool and it was unique. And I think it really supported what our community needed. But I think the transition is something that other districts could really see benefit from.
Thank you. I did want to note, I appreciated the opportunity to attend the first of the 2 community meetings that happened recently. It was a good opportunity for me to sit in the back of the room and listen to public comment in a less formal setting, and answer a few questions that came up and provide a little bit of information on ways that interested community members could get involved with the district. Principal Richards' Coffee with the Principal was called out as a very positive program that got a good deal of involvement. So I appreciated that. Yeah, that's all I've got myself.
And I'll say likewise for the second iteration of that meeting. Yeah, so cat's out of the bag, but I was appointed to represent Director Area 1 on the WASDA Annual Conference Committee. Thank you. If it becomes a conflict of interest, I would recuse myself from one or the other, either presentation, voting, or being part of submitting this presentation. So I just have to look into if that's part of the role on this committee and how to avoid conflicts of interest. But I'm very much in favor of the direction that this presentation is heading. I think it would be really valuable to other districts in the state.
Unfortunately, we do not have our legislative representative here tonight. There's been a bunch of movement in the legislature. It's not completed yet to my knowledge, but the transition to kindergarten funding is good through the rest of the year, I know, and maintained at current levels statewide for next year at least. So that's fantastic for our district.
Yeah, we're planning to run it next year. We have to stay at 17 or less, same level, which, so that's very exciting news. But it's still all yet to be determined. They may ask for an extension. We still don't know about MSOCs. It's still very much up in the air. So we're treading lightly on what our actual revenue is going to be.
And I recognize that is putting a strain on Mr. Field and the forward
timing.
planning.
Normally, you would start to hear about our projections. We have our enrollment projection. What we don't have is a revenue projection. So.
And we can't get that until the legislature finishes
So
what they do and the governor signs
supposedly,
it.
what is it, Paul, a week?
Yeah, they're supposed to wrap up Sunday, but they're already talking about overtime. So.
Well, I'm sorry for the extra work that is causing you and the extra stress of not knowing.
Yeah.
Any other comments or reports to be had? Thank you very much. Good night. This meeting is adjourned.